And going into the draft, we had a big bombshell. And I think this is probably the first ripple effect or trade that we've seen that is directly in correlation to the new CBA rules. And that is, of course, Jordan Poole getting traded to the Washington Wizards for Chris Paul. We talk about the new CBA a lot, and what we talk about is you hear a lot of first apron and second apron. I talked about it on the show, but we know the first apron is pretty much being over the draft or over the salary cap to a certain extent, and the second apron is being drastically over the salary cap. And being over the second apron has drastic ramifications, like you can lose draft picks, you lose your ability to pick up buyout players. Like it's drastic ramifications. And Golden State found themselves, or the pretty much CBA was solely made to combat the spending habits of Golden State and teams like the Clippers, or teams that just throw caution to the wind and say, hey, we have enough money. We don't care about the whole salary cap. We'll just spend what we got to spend. And of course, it'll ultimately win the championship. Well, when you pay Jordan Poole 4 years, 120 or $30 million, you hope that this player is not only going to help in the present, which of course he did. He was a key part of Golden State ultimate championship run last year. But you hope that they are going to be key components in a key part of the future. What Golden State was doing something that was unprecedented, and obviously, as we see, it didn't work. What they were doing is they were trying to operate on two different timelines. They were trying to maximize the present while building for the future. And in sports and basketball, that doesn't work. If you're going to maximize on the present, you have to maximize on the present. And when you have to worry about the future, when you're worried about the future. Or if you're going to worry about the future, the present can't matter as much because you're not going to be able to do anything in the present because you're so worried about the future. I.e., the Washington Wizards now. What they were trying to do is getting Porzingis and getting Bradley Beal and extending Bradley Beal and getting a Kuzma. You were trying to maximize the present. Well, the present wasn't getting you anywhere. So now, as you see full rebuild, they're worried about the future. You see that with the Orlando Magic. You see that with the Detroit Pistons. You see that with the Oklahoma City Thunder. The thing about Oklahoma City is they got lucky and landed, due to a trade for Paul George, you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and you didn't know that he was going to be as good as he is. I mean, he was first overall. No, he was first team All-NBA this year. So Golden State tried to do the whole we're going to plan for the future while maximizing the present. It doesn't work. So this trade is probably the first trade that is directly affected by the new CBA. And I get it. I understand it, especially when we talk about whole salary dump and everything. And it was just obvious that Jordan Poole couldn't coexist with Draymond Green. And it didn't. Hell, they traded Jordan Poole, and I don't think I've seen a thank you from Jordan Poole. You know how teams were like, thanks, or good luck on your next adventure? Like, I haven't seen that from any Golden State player. And we know, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, we know the class personified players that they are and that the Golden State Warriors organization is. I did not see one thank you for your services, Jordan Poole. And it's also funny that this trade came 4 days after Mike Dunleavy, who is the new GM of Golden State, coming out and saying that he wants Jordan, or he expects Jordan Poole to be there for the next 4 years minimum. So I'm guessing the 4 years turned into 4 days quickly. But the trade was, of course, Jordan Poole for Chris Paul, pretty much. I think Paul Baldwin, the junior or whatever, or the fourth or something, he was traded too. So let's talk about how this affects both teams. Let's first talk about the Wizards. This is a very interesting time for the Wizards because the Wizards have if you want to go back and see the rant that I had with the Paul Bradley Beal trade, you can go back to last episode. I didn't know all this, there was more information that came out, so I felt a little bit better seeing with the pick swaps and just how many picks that they got. But Washington has been active, man. You trade Bradley Beal, you trade Kristaps Porzingis, but we'll talk about in a second as well. You also trade now Chris Paul for Jordan Poole. The Washington Wizards in full rebuild mode, and I didn't think that they would. I didn't think that they dedicate themselves to it, but they obviously have. They've been trade heavy, and I think Jordan Poole, the whole. It's the whole funny joke around social media is he's going to do numbers at Rose Bar. He's going to do numbers in the DC clubs, which I will say, basketball-wise, I think Jordan Poole will be terrific in Washington. I think Jordan Poole is one of those players where he just needs the green light and the freedom to do what he wants offensively. I talked about that when we talked about the whole situation with Jordan Poole and why it didn't work with Jordan Poole. I think that Jordan Poole is a player that he thrives off confidence and he thrives off the ability to make art with his speed and with his offensive weaponry. And now Washington doesn't really have a direction next year, so you have the ultimate green light, and I think that he's going to be incredible. I think that he's going to be I think he's going to be at least a 23 to 24 point scorer a game next year. I don't think he's going to take Washington any new heights, but I do think he's going to be he's going to be a very exciting piece to watch for Washington. I don't think it's going to result to wins or anything, but because I don't think Jordan Poole is a winning player. But I do. Well, let me not say that. Let me take that back, because I don't like the whole winning losing thing. Like I don't think that Jordan Poole's skill set, especially along with this team, can ultimately put the franchise in a direction next year that results in championship aspirations or playoff aspirations. But what I will say is Jordan Poole, to me, is a great player to be, just go do what you do. Just go score. So I think it's a good fit for Washington because Jordan Poole has the freedom to do, and we know when Jordan Poole, we saw that when Jordan Poole's in the starting lineup, he's an incredible player. When he's not playing alongside Steph, he averaged damn near 25, 26 points, I think. But we'll see. Where I'm a little confused at is on the Golden State side. Again, I think that this trade was made solely because of, well, not solely, but mainly because of the new CBA. And Golden State didn't want to find themselves drastically over the second apron or drastically in the second apron of the new CBA. But when we see the trade for Porzingis, and again, we'll talk about that in a second, and we see some of the other trades, and then we know just the type of player that Jordan Poole is, I just think you could have got more than a Chris Paul. And I think it's crazy that Chris Paul, who is a future Hall of Famer, who's one of the best point guards to ever play, has now been relegated to pretty much a cash dump. But what's confusing to me is the fit. Golden State is one of the fastest I think they were like the sixth fastest offense in basketball last year. And we know with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and how Steve Kerr runs his team, it is a fast-moving machine. You're bringing in Chris Paul, who's not only going to be 39 years old in the playoffs next year. He's one of the slowest operating players. Like, he's one of the slowest point guards as far as he operates on a slow offense. He thrives with a slow offense. And I just don't know how that's going to fit with the Golden State Warriors style of play. On top of that, obviously they've had to have a conversation with him and Steph. I don't think they can. I don't think Klay Thompson is in a place, especially defensively, to play the small forward position. And I don't want to see Andrew Wiggins at the power forward position. I think that backcourt in Steph Curry and Chris Paul is just too small. And they already struggle defensively. I don't think that's going to make it any better. So I think that you're going to have to bring Chris Paul off the bench. But one thing that it's going to be tough, man, because one thing that I see is if you do bring Chris Paul off the bench, which kind of has to happen. If you bring Chris Paul off the bench, you're going to have two drastic ways of playing from your starting team to your second team. But you're going to have Jonathan Kuminga in the second team. You're going to have, Moses Moody as your second team. So I just don't know how that fits. Now, I did originally think that they were going to move Chris Paul again. But when you hear – but then again, Harry, you hear that they expect to keep Chris Paul. Okay. Well, they also did say just a couple of days ago that Jordan Poole was their future. So I just don't know the fit. I do like the fact of, if Chris Paul is able to change his game and speed up his game, which I don't think is going to happen, but you do get mature, offensive-minded, and one of the best assist guards in the league. You do get him at your second team, so he can mentor maybe a Jonathan Kuminga and a Moody or something like that. I do like that. And I do like the fact of it just brings another ball handler, which is another reason why I don't think that he could work on the first team, because Chris Paul thrives with the ball in his hand. Draymond Green is the primary ball handler for the first team. You also have Steph Curry. That I just don't see it working. So I don't know, man. I hope Golden State's not done. What it looks like is Chris Paul might agree, or probably going to agree to restructure his deal. Then if that case, that leaves maybe, Golden State maybe get someone like a Brook Lopez, maybe get someone like a Chris Middleton, but it's looking like Chris Middleton is probably likely to go back to Milwaukee. So I don't know, man. It's a weird fit, Chris Paul and Golden State, but we'll see how it goes. This is the new age of Golden State without Bob Myers, and this is obviously the first move, so we'll see how it goes. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.